Hello, guys. So I did want to stream yesterday, but I just ended up not being able to. I kind of fucked my sleep schedule a bit. And I woke up so late yesterday that I just decided that's not going to be worth it. And I just realized I forgot to ban some shit. I was going to start banning Pele over bots. Maybe even over Aladdin, to be honest.
Select your god.
We might need some other front lines, because we picked Bologna here. I'll gladly give it though, but I do think we might have to, or we might end up struggling a bit, since Bologna is kind of not a great single front line. But we'll see.
Gaze upon me and
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of in the same position. Looks like they're ending up with a single front line as well. So I'm sure it's fine. Probably. Hopefully. Surely. Alright. Load. It was a pretty fast queue as well. I was wondering who I was against. Looks like it's Sipari. We're on Barre. Yeah, I like Barre at the moment. And I mean, when you're first pick, it feels like a waste not to try and like pick for yourself, you know? You gotta try and get something. Otherwise, I'm just giving something away. There's too much OP shit in this fucking game right now. You know? What am I picking though? In terms of actives. Wait, where is this Odin going? I obviously cannot see. Why would I be able to see that?
Hi.
Fuck.
Hello. Have you tried potion fueled fencing?
Yeah, that's tough, man.
Essence distilled.
I'm taking the chance.
Set up an ambush here.
Okay.
Attack middle lane.
I'm on.
Yeah, it's my first game of the day as well. But right now, right now I'll just pick Barry or anything, because I'm just enjoying Barry at the moment. I haven't really been into Barry at all, but for the last week or so, I have.
Scylla go out under the tower. I try to bait she.
Like, I'm not really driven by something that's OP necessarily. I just driven by something that's fun. Right now I find Barry a lot of fun.
No, she is fear.
Okay. Retreat. Be careful middle.
Okay.
Minions have
Haste on screen, thank you, man. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm still waking up mentally here. I've been awake for a while now, but now is the first time I'm interacting with anything today. It's Uller, okay.
Attack the minions.
Gotta stop missing my 3.
Cancel that.
That shit ain't good.
Okay.
Well fought.
Be careful.
Attack.
No. Sucks. It's missing too much sheet. Do I have to be a bit careful here? As the jungler might be around at this point. Damn it. I did drop a kill there though. That sucks. He just fucking jumped on me. I should have maybe just taken the hit. Like, even if he hits the axe, like, I still have shell. Could probably have survived the combo anyway and still just turn on him. Like, he has beats, so I feel like no matter what, I should win the trade. Oh no. Where did our 5th go? I'm sure she'll be back. Hopefully. Maybe. Wouldn't be unusual for the first game to be a disaster. Feels like they always are.
An ally has left the game.
A shame. You showed such promise.
Oh my god. How was he even hitting it in the first place? What the fuck was that?
Enemy missing middle.
Well, that's tragic. Might just have to have an early surrender then. That sucks. Yeah, I'm being too aggressive knowing that we have a DC right now. Of course Merc is gonna be around when blue is spawning. Should have expected that. Surely they aren't invading when we have a DC though, right? That'd be kinda weird. They did.
Your right tower is under attack.
The fuck, man?
Yes.
Yeah, there's not really any point in continuing this.
Day is ours.
Yes.
Farewell until your next
Bye-bye.
reflection. Defeat.
Not really much to do about it. It's what I've come to expect from first games these days. Yeah, it is what it is. Tragic that happens when I finally get Bari as well. It's a tragedy. Why are these instant queues? I really am wondering. I don't know anyone on my team. Again. Don't ban Bari, dude. People are always gonna ban Bari. Like, what are we talking about here? There's so much shit open, man. Spend the Kali, I guess. Didn't get in the queue. Damn, what the fuck am I against them?
Select your god.
I don't know what to play, boys. I really don't. Maybe a Danza game? A rare, incredibly rare Danza game? Like, I don't play Danza, so I'm sorry, boys. This might be a complete fucking disaster, but we'll see what happens. I'm sure he'll be fine. He can't be that difficult, right? He's not one of the highest skill ceiling gods in the game. That being said, honestly, the main problem with Danza for me is how his ult works. I'm still not used to it. I'm probably gonna fuck it up a few times. Holy shit. I was wondering, if something was really loud. Like, I could hear something really loud behind my headset. It's just fucking pouring down all of a sudden. It's loud as shit. Ow. Ow. Just go full strain and go boom. Don't you go int though? With the new addition to him? Like, because of the 3 thing being added, and that only like, that scales heavily with int. Don't you just go for like a one-shot int build? I kind of had a build in mind with that part of him. Or is strength just considered better overall now? I don't know. I was gonna go int though. I hate this map. Well, looks like I need beats. I feel like strength is overall better. Yeah, let's see. 65 and 40 explosion scaling. 70 strength. There is a heal, I suppose, on this that int is nice for as well. But yeah, this one, people just go for int just specifically for this. And this is pretty much the same. Even actually the explosion damage is higher with int as well. So the ult and the 3 is more beneficial with int than the 2 and the 1 is more for a... Oh, I guess I want to try it. Let's see how it goes. I'll probably still do serrated though, only. I think serrated can't really be ignored. Not to mention it's just I don't know, serrated is just broken.
I'm on it.
And I'm solo too, I do need something to fight early, otherwise I'm just cooked. I have a build in mind. I'll try. We're gonna strengthen Aladdin as well. Yeah, Aladdin I think it does make sense as well.
Hi.
I do think though, like late game Aladdin with int is still better. But the problem is now he's been nerfed so much that the early game Aladdin feels like absolute dog shit if you don't have any damage. And to have damage early you kinda need strength. So I do understand it more on Aladdin. Like, I've never seen a more broken god being more useless early game. If you aren't really building strength. Ah, fuck it. I'll stick around for it. Probably gonna lose one creep though. He lost 2 creeps though, I think.
My light may fade, but my legacy shall
I'll take it.
Enemy missing middle.
Got greedy for the level 1. Been there.
Why do you give it, bro? You shit! What are you doing?
He's so aggressively Danish, I just recognized
Why
it
do you
instantly.
don't you upgrade your chain? Why don't you upgrade your chain? You're fucking clueless, bro. No, I didn't. You just turn around. You took too many shots for no reason.
Enemy has been slain.
Took all the shots for no reason. Just fucking tanking them.
I do like
Oh,
that extra
shit, shut
shot.
up.
That's pretty cool. It does add something else to his gameplay as well.
Be careful.
Confused yet, pal?
You fight like a malfunctioning drone.
He had to get that taunt off, almost cost him.
Stop taking solo XP, Aris. Yeah, Aris is half griefing, guys. Aris is half griefing.
In the right jungle.
Boys, chill, it's fine. Just play the game. Let's see, that always works, right?
Enemies in the right jungle. Enemy missing middle.
Ultimate is ready.
Okay. Ultimate is ready.
Can't see me.
This battle.
Bro, can you shut the fuck up, bro? You gave them 2 free kills. Shut the fuck up. Just play a game. Don't grief. Yet again.
Yes, no problem.
Still fucking Vulcan here. Oh well.
Enemy missing.
At least he's just missing farming. That's fine.
Back, Artemis has all. Just back. Just back, bro. What did I say to you, bro? You're fucking retarded. You gotta be damaged.
Damn, this
gotta
guy has
be
no
damaged.
filter.
Good shit.
Can't see me, can you?
Enemy has
Yeah, I
been
don't know.
slain.
This guy has no filter and absolutely zero patience.
Your left tower is under attack.
Let's try this. Probably gonna mute him because he's kind of annoying to listen to.
Very strong.
Ares, leave my lane. Leave my lane.
You can't run from your fate.
On my way.
Oh, he ulted me. Oh, it's in a... I see.
Please, please. You can't run.
It's an aspect Athena. Didn't realize. I could have just turned and killed him then.
Bro, I can't hit him when he's up in the air. You're fucking tired. Shut the fuck up. Fall back up.
Please, please.
This guy's gonna get me banned.
Be quiet.
Bro, just chin him and Ares and he couldn't get away.
Enemy missing right.
I don't actually want to back.
Okay, gank middle lane.
Yes.
In range shall wash them away.
And Ares, you had still had all. Leave my lane.
La vista, amigo. Ally has been slain.
Yes, Ares is hard griefing, guys.
Had to try. I'm glad someone stuck around.
Nice job. Take this jungle buff.
Holy shit, man. It is fucking pouring down. It's so loud. It sounds like a fucking plane is right outside, taking off. That's how loud the fucking is. It's absolutely pouring down.
Bro, you can just leave my lane. Help Zeus, help Avilik. Just leave my lane.
Enemy missing right.
Middle lane.
Damn.
Okay.
There's no way the rain started a fucking car alarm. I can hear it outside now. It's so distracting. And I'm sorry if you guys hear anything, actually. You might.
Nice job. Cancel that. Your right tower is under attack.
Can't see me, can you?
Your left tower is under attack. Enemy missing middle.
Will lead us to victory.
Enemy ultimate down.
He's pretty low. Can't hear anything? Alright, that's good. Because it's just loud.
Yeah, Artemis should be a free kill here.
On my way. On my way. Falling back.
That's slow ass fighting.
Ultimate is down. Enemies in middle lane.
You can't run from your fate.
Apollo is here too. Be careful, guys. He might looking for some fight.
The pyromancer has arrived.
Enemy missing right.
Oh, he's the wrong team. I am sorry.
Ward middle.
Yes, I'm on it.
Thanks.
Enemy missing right.
Enemy missing.
Just zoning. Okay.
Be careful, left. Enemy ultimate incoming. Your middle tower is under attack. On my way.
Enemies in the right jungle.
Okay.
You move like a jaguar.
Confused yet, pal?
Your left tower is under attack.
No, Ares, just help your team. Don't take my buffs.
Enemies in middle lane. Gank left lane.
Enemy missing right.
This might be tough.
Enemy missing middle. Ally has been slain.
Yeah, I mean, that's just Fenrir, really. There's not really much he can do about it.
Ultimate is ready. Thank you. The rain shall wash them away.
They're all coming left, boys.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Can't see me, can you?
An enemy has been slain. Be careful. No. Gank.
Retreat here, Ares.
Your right tower.
Apollo isn't coming.
Rain shall wash them away.
Confused yet, pal?
Danceable, can you wait? Wait. Okay.
So just get broad already, honestly. I'm getting kind of big.
Can't see me, can you? Confused yet, pal?
Artemis ult done, by the way. Should be an easy kill when she spawns. Probably should have leveled my 3 actually.
Apollo
over my
is
2.
left lane, guys.
Your middle tower is under attack. Behind us! Attack!
Apollo missing, guys. Be careful middle. Apollo's still here. Apollo's still here.
My light may fade, but my legacy.
Nice. Good.
Enemy has been slain.
I thought she had ult. I would expect her to just try and ult out.
Can't see me, can you?
He's dead, Ares. He's not gonna be here.
I'll gank left lane.
Be careful. Apollo is coming right lane. Artemis is missing.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Confused yet, pal?
Wash them away. Your team has destroyed a right enemy tower. Retreat! Ally has been slain.
So you gotta learn to rotate, bro.
You guys just fell back. We gotta get some towers.
My bad, Felix. I'm fucking tired of this Zeus. Can't rotate.
Say hello to my little friend.
We need to keep an eye out for the Vulcan ult.
Your middle tower is under attack.
He used it. He used to just go for it. Why the fuck you guys stop it?
Because Fenris is watching us. We gotta kill them first.
Cancel that.
It's too late now that we got it back.
Fury.
They're all back up, boys. Just fall back.
Enemy has been slain. What a shame. Your right tower is under attack.
You can't run from your fate.
I'll take the trade. It still sucks I died though. I don't think I should have, to be honest.
But my legacy shall endure.
I also don't know about making calls for this team, because people are just not really doing it
Enemy ultimate incoming.
very well, I guess. Even though it sounds kind of rude. Like, I don't know why Ares went to zone. He should be just be the one tanking. I'll half zone, half, like, dealing with gold. Or even Zeus could maybe even try and zone a bit. But I don't think he can really beat the Fenrir, where I should be able to because of my 2.
Enemy ultimate incoming. Enemy missing.
We're just taking a long time. We're not really doing anything with this. Looks like there is a fight now, though.
Middle tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain.
Can't see me.
Your left tower is under attack.
Go for it, go for it, go for it. He used it all. Guys, I don't know why are we suiciding. Why the fuck are we suiciding? Just fall back, just fall back.
He like a tail.
Gold fury.
Just go Goldie Wheelix. If he comes, ult zone him. Or not.
Has destroyed the gold fury.
Confused yet, pal?
Enemy missing.
Quick question, is here to go for mage build? Why get serrated as first item? Because generally you want to be able to fight early, especially in solo. Otherwise it feels like you're giving up everything. In this case I was into an Athena. Would I have given up everything? Probably not. But in most cases, if you can't fight back, you're just giving everything up, like the Warhorn that they go camp, maybe even your back camps. And you're just gonna snowball out of control and lose too much farm. So serrate makes sure that I am able to fight early while still contributing. Not to mention, I mean, even if you're going full in, as long as you have scaling or hybrid scaling, it still works. But strength early makes sure that you're not at least just giving up everything and still have a chance to fight back. And Serrate is just really powerful. It's almost a waste not to build it if you're able to build it on the god right now. I could do Nibble Ring, but I just don't think I need it. I'm not really gonna be that auto-based.
Enemy ultimate incoming.
Go power, boys.
Attack fire giant.
Be careful. On my way. On my way.
We should just focus on objectives now. They shouldn't be able to fight us. And if they want to try, we should just fight back.
On my way.
Confused yet, pal?
Enemy has been slain.
Ouch.
Help! Help!
Your team has destroyed the pyramids. Retreat.
Ah, I kind of fucked up. I took too much poke there. The main thing I have to be careful of is just Vulcan.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Can't see me, can you?
You can't run from your fate.
This is get
Ah, that sucks. I just got body blocked. If I just get out of my own ring with my paper, maybe I can survive.
On my way.
Enemy missing.
Okay. On my way.
That is a very heavy, what's it called, objective build. He's not gonna really do a whole lot of damage. Well, unless they're standing still, I guess. That's fine. I am thinking what I should go for last, though. I do think the best thing would be something like Spear of Deso, so that I
Danceburg,
get
and you want the fight out.
my cooldowns back if I get a kill. It's either that or something like Upshot, but I don't think they're not really that tanky. I mean, Apollo's a little tanky, but I don't really think it's tanky. He's more healthy than he's tanky.
Oh, you move like a jaguar. Ooh.
Can't see me, can you?
Rain shall wash them away.
Let's just retreat, guys. We got 2 for 1.
Okay. Healing. Be careful in the tunnel. Weak like a vegetarian.
I'm not bad. I didn't see Fenrir behind us.
What a shame.
That sucks. Just looking for a quick, sneaky
Has arrived.
pickup, but it just doesn't matter. Fenrir is fucking right there. He's kind of tanky too. And like Oni shouldn't even help against me. I still do strength damage or physical damage. So that's weird. My ult barely touched him.
Ultimate is ready.
Granted, maybe he had a shield. I didn't realize. I could do Obsidian, but the thing with Obsidian is that they don't have a tank. They wouldn't really do much. Athena is full damage, and Apollo is also basically full damage. Well, not full damage. He's just fully on HP because he's Aspect Apollo.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really bad. I got picked and now we're all dying.
Oh, you move like a jaguar. Ooh. What a shame. Defend. Your left tower is under attack.
That sucks, man. And I just spawns and die again. Fuck. It is that late game Athena now. That's not that easy to deal with anymore. Oh well.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack. Your right tower.
At this point, we probably gotta stop just running in and dying now. At least that's Artemis ult down.
Defend right lane. Your right tower is under attack.
Like, guys, we gotta go after Vulcan.
Ready.
Huge.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower.
That is actually gigantic, getting those 2 kills.
Irish, you have ult? Just ult, just ult one. Just ult one.
Your under attack. What a shame.
I really just fucking doesn't matter.
What a shame. Your team has destroyed the gold fury.
I'm gonna see if I can get the speed.
Be right back.
That piece
I'm gonna stop playing too greedy, because I've definitely been looking for things that I shouldn't have been looking for. Because we are kind of losing some weird traits here. And as a result, obviously losing fire for that. But one of the issues is that exactly that we have like a one-man front line. So I feel like every time I ult in, they can always just turn on me, which is very tough for me. So I just gotta stop ulting in, I guess. But I am bad at the types of ults where I...
Ares, retreat here.
Enemy has been slain.
you owe me big.
Bro, I'm not AFK, but why the fuck we went solo? Doesn't matter. It like doesn't make sense.
Oh, easy roll. The rain shall wash them away. Your right tower is under attack.
Ares, you have 11 fucking deaths. You shouldn't talk.
On my way.
Ah, that crit thing is tough late game. That sucks, man. I kind of fucked my 3. I kind of hit my 3. Like, that's the whole reason why this build is even a thing. Aspect makes my pussy wet. I mean... Wait, Aspect Nua? Does she have it? I have an Aspect. Or is there a new one announced? Actually, that sentence worries me a lot. I don't like the thought of a new Aspect. This build isn't really something where I think Danza's damage goes down. Like, this is just all based around the 3. So if I miss the 3, I'm kind of screwed. Danza kind of becomes an assassin. Like, he's not an ADC. And I can't really do... I don't really do a whole lot of objective damage with this build.
Your right tower is
Ares,
No Aspect makes her an
why the
ADC.
fuck would you bang?
Oh yeah, that's the weird one. Yeah, never mind. Wait, that's terrible.
enemy spotted.
It's so bad I forgot about it. It's like Herc's Aspect. Another one that's so bad I just kind of forget it exists.
Enemy spotted.
Confused yet, pal?
Team, help me! Like,
Brother, we can't help you when you get 5 men ult to duck like that. Ain't no one helping that. We got cooked because he tried. If we have beats, we just can't fight. That's that simple. Then we gotta sit back.
Yeah, I know, but we don't have a front line. Like, what do you want me to do?
No, we should just
don't
not
have
even be this
frontliner.
far up. Like, we should just fall all the way
Yeah,
back.
bro, your build was useless late. We will lose anyway.
Defeat.
Really? Okay, now it's my fault? What? How does it turn that into my fault? What do you mean? Oh, no, dude, my mouse doesn't work in game. Something glitched out. Oh, no. It's my... Oh, fixed it. It's my fault, guys. My bad. Yeah, my bad, guys. I got Fenrir ulted into 5 people. No, wait, that wasn't me. That was the Cupid. That sucks. I mean, if sometimes you just gotta own your own mistakes, you know. I don't know if that guy knows me or if I'm streaming, but I hope he does, because I'm not even mad. But sometimes you gotta own up to your own mistakes. If you get Fenrir ulted into 5 people, it's your own fault. In 99% of cases, my dude. Don't throw that on someone else. Like, you're just out of position then, plain and simple. I didn't tell my team, but I was very close to, because my beats were down for 30 seconds when this fight was, like, suing, like, growing near when they started fighting in mid, and I was about to say I'm not going to go there because I don't have beats. Because that exact thing is exactly what I was afraid it would happen to me. Then we sit back. It's that simple. It's not hard. Fenrir is good at one thing. One thing late game, and that is a fucking old bot. But we let him do that one thing. It's unfortunate. Still, though, that was a better Dancer game than I thought I would have. Like, I don't really play Dancer much. At all. I don't really know how to play him, to be honest. I just did what I've seen everyone else do. It was decently fun, but I'm not sure I really want to do it again. Can't say I enjoyed Dancer all that much. That was pretty fun, though. I think it only went as well as it did because I was against an Athena, though. Like, you pick Athena for solo, you give up all your laning phase. Yeah, Vulcan hit really hard too. That was a problem. But ultimately, I think we were the ones who threw that game. By getting Fenrir ulted into 5 people. I fucked up, like, once or twice with some stupid deaths. I shouldn't have tried to steal fire. I died because of that. And I got caught by Fenrir that one time. That was also really bad. But we were kind of only in this game because of me, so I don't feel like I want to put the blame on myself for losing that. Don't know what to play next, though. Might try some Uller. Boys, I'm so out of gods I feel like playing. It's partly because tanks just don't feel good to play. Like, I feel like I have to build something that can use serrated, otherwise I feel useless. Or if I'm against something that does have serrated, I feel like I can't fight back. Back to Hades. I don't even think Hades is that good at the moment, I'm not gonna lie to you. And don't get me wrong, when I say that, I mean specifically in lane against something that has serrated. Because sure, I mean, I can always just farm, wait until late game and then one-shot, but that's kind of boring, you know? That's also pretty boring. Hades is fun once you have a few items online, otherwise it's just kind of boring and just playing a farm fest. I do like Hades though, but I think in the current meta, I mean, honestly, it all comes down to serrated. I think serrated is way too powerful. That if you're meeting something that has serrated, you literally cannot fight back if you don't have it yourself. And even in some cases, you can't even do that, depending on the god you're playing. It's just too fucking powerful. It gives you so much power and healing early on in the game. On some gods where you definitely should not be having that stuff. Like a Thor or Odin running around with a serrated and they're fucking healing of waves. Like, what the fuck are you supposed to do into that shit? If you aren't playing something like that yourself. They will just out-damage you and out-heal you. And somehow they're still tankier than you. Like, what do you do? Oh shit. That's why I'm kind of holding back on playing a lot of different things. Or you could even say that's kind of why I'm playing ADCs. Because then I just don't have to fight, I can just sit back. Not to mention they also build serrated and have that advantage. Maybe I do on her actually. On her is pretty nice with it, but his wave clear is ass. That's my only problem. Actually, maybe I do Neath. Neath could be fun. I'm actually kind of feeling Neath, the more I think about it. I gotta remember that Cupid's name. He was way too funny. And very fond of his own voice. And aggressively Danish. I don't know, actually guys, when I speak, do you easily hear the Danish accent? I'm curious. I'm sure it pops out, like here and there, but I feel like my accent isn't really that Danish. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, fucking hell, these fucking explosions. I don't know, honestly, fair. Yeah, I imagine some of you probably don't recognize necessarily a Danish accent, but we're kind of known for having like potato mouths, because it sounds like we're talking with a potato in our mouth. We definitely do struggle pronouncing some things. No way we're banning the dancer! I'm not even gonna play it. What are we even leaving open then, huh? Oh no. Who has a potato mic? I still don't want to deal with Pele, honestly. Out with it. Why are we banning Dancer? I don't know, someone who's from the last game, I guess? I mean, I take this trade any day of the week. Don't you worry, buddy. I'll take it. You tried Nua aspect? No. Why are people talking about the Nua aspect all of a sudden? Is it good now? Did they buff it? What's happening? That's the second time in an hour where two people have mentioned the Nua aspect. When no one talked about the Nua aspect. Kinda suspicious. But it's been the game for a long time though, right? Why now? Why are the new stands popping up? What are we doing, boys? And now it's picked as well. What's happening? Something must have happened. What even is Nua aspect? They basically make sure an ADC. It's really weird. Actually, no, wait. Did she have an aspect? I don't even know. Is it new? Oh, did it come out a couple of days ago? Okay, well, that makes more sense. I didn't even know, guys. I literally didn't even know. Old crits? Dude, no way. Okay, that sounds kind of stupid. The old crits? So Nua ADC and she do what? That doesn't sound fun. It does sound somewhat countered though by a spectral, but tanks are still ass. Like I don't want to build that shit. I don't want to play something that builds that shit. Actually, to be fair. Though I still don't think tanks are as bad as I'm kind of making it sound like. I do think tanks are playable. I just really very much not enjoy it in the current queues. I think I'll play a tank if I knew people in the queue that I feel like could carry for me. Or at least like show up. It's not like I'm carrying every game, but at least someone else needs to be doing the damage, I guess is all I'm saying. I want to be able to trust someone who can do the damage.
Be careful.
Dude, I want everything into that team comp. Beats, Aegis, Shell. And I still don't know what I'm against. I fucking wish the game would just tell me.
Essence distilled.
I'm still taking that chance. I do think the wall's a way bigger problem for me than anything else. Kraken is scary, but can't be missed. Odin ult generally doesn't miss. You are invisible inside your fog when you're auto-attacking? Dude, that sounds insane for 1v1ing. Excuse me. I haven't touched the game ever since the aspect came out. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to just take a look at it. I suppose I'll see it in this game, since my ADC is playing it.
You're welcome.
A glimmering hello.
Starlight greets you. May our paths align again.
Minions have spawned.
Be careful, right? That is unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. Who was first pick on their team? Was it... Actually, who was it?
Impressive display of skill.
My wisdom is unmatched.
Woohoo!
It has to be Henry, right? He's the only one who was in the last game.
Impossible. As insignificant as a single star in a galaxy.
Why the fuck am I not too?
I'll attack.
And so Thor. No choice but to just chill.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Just in case you might want to rotate up behind here. I'm gonna take these. It rarely happens, but sometimes I do see junglers go behind my fucking tower to do my backhands. That shit sucks.
Your right tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
Got your Bari after all? I did, yeah. We'll see if it goes any better than last time. Hopefully no early DCs this time.
May our paths align again.
Your left
right.
He just TP'd here.
Rain shall wash them away.
Cut like a master's edge.
It's always going to be 5. I don't know if you can invade this.
Ganesh doesn't have TP and I have ult. I think we should.
I get 5 off the 2 creeps here.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your left tower is under
It might be really late too, because Ganesh wasn't here in the beginning.
Completed.
Can gank him though.
enemy has been slain.
This is how I fracture.
That sucks. Didn't get any abilities off.
Therein lies the value of not being
That's so unfortunate. If I got my 2 off, he just dies there. Truly unfortunate.
Did you ult the Ganesha?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
ultimate is down.
Find joy among the stars.
Have fun.
Thor has no ult.
Be right back.
Have fun.
Be careful left.
Don't know if he has TP, but I hope he doesn't.
Have fun.
No.
Sorry.
On my way.
Strengthens our resolve.
Thor ult, Ganesh Aegis. Okay. Should be much easier to fight back now I actually have some lifesteal. I saw the Thor ult, is decided that's no way I'm getting out, so I was just trying to get Ganesh. And he's fucking Aegis, man.
Your right tower is under attack.
Yeah, if I had the... yeah, I mean, I just... yeah. Pretty much did the same thing, man. I just wish I had my serrated there. That's so unfortunate. Oh well, it's fine.
The ultimate down.
Your right tower is under attack.
Like, I don't think I'm gonna stop being aggressive in this lane, because I know no matter what, it's not gonna make a difference. Like, if Thor ganks me, no matter where I am in my lane, I'm dead anyway, because I don't have beats.
On my way.
This is a kill or be killed lane. There's no in between.
I'm on it.
Your right tower is under attack. Rain, wash them away. Oh, my horrific. You will go no further.
I wish my one was up. I wanted to throw a bell at him.
slain. Your middle tower is under attack. Fabuloso! Your middle tower is under attack.
It's looking pretty rough. Thor is just getting really fat.
Your middle tower is under attack.
On my way. My light dims briefly.
The
like a
enemy team has
monster's
destroyed the gold. An enemy has been slain.
Follow me.
Oh, it gleams with promise.
I don't know what to buy. Actually, I do. I want to try this shit again.
A small gleam.
This felt
or a
really fun the
glitter
like
glow.
few times I've done it. So I will keep going with it.
The rain shall wash them away. Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Enemy missing right.
Star in a galaxy.
An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain. Pyro has arrived.
It's poor Ganesh, man.
Retreat.
He just ults and runs away. Just bar shenanigans. What they do to fight.
Enemy ultimate incoming.
I'm on it.
Fuck, that ages, man.
Enemy ultimate down. Defend the middle lane.
Be careful, right?
Yes.
Be right back. Need healing.
Thor so far is definitely the main issue on their team. Also, it's a fun duo lane, actually. Poseidon aspect versus Nova aspect. It's my two, everyone.
Ultimate is ready. slain. You move like a jackal.
No, creeps, chill. Serrated. My lifesaver. My ult wasn't up in time, right? It was literally like a second off.
That is unfortunate.
I felt that in my balls. What now? Probably just Crusher.
Oh, he's the wrong team. I am sorry.
Curses!
Your left tower is under attack.
Grouper, attack the Gold Fury.
Your left tower is under attack.
Gotta be a bit more careful here. Don't know where Thor is. Never mind. They're very much all in
The
gold.
enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury. An enemy has been slain. And the rain shall wash them away.
Follow me. Follow me.
Enemy missing right.
An enemy has been slain. My way. Double kill. Oh, tower is under attack.
I'm glad I didn't rotate. I'll die for this tower if I have to.
Let it fall. Like all
Attack middle tower.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower.
Tragic. He's so long.
That is unfortunate.
The rain shall wash them away.
Attack on my way. On my way.
Hey, missing legend. Good to see you, man.
Your team has destroyed the pyramids.
I'll attack.
Your left tower is under attack. Destroyed the fire.
That was way too close.
Enemies in the left jungle.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack. Your left tower.
enemy ultimate down.
I'm on it. Defend middle lane. Attack the minions.
I still shell up.
Behind us, boys.
This is how I fraction.
That sucks. If they just turn faster, we kill. Oh.
Is incoming.
That was weird tip from them.
The rain shall wash them away.
I guess Hotseek is the next one.
Enemy ultimate incoming.
How's the weather there? It's been rainy apparently. It poured heavily during my stream earlier. I couldn't help but like actually comment on it because it was so loud. It sounded like a plane was right outside. At least through my headset. It probably wasn't that loud, you know, but it was pouring down.
The Pyromancer has arrived.
Ally has been slain.
Get that Phoenix. We need it so badly.
Thanks.
Oh no.
Louded and cracked.
No way.
Attack! Attack!
We're fast.
Do we want a Shogun?
Could be worth, sure.
Alright, then.
Your team has destroyed the Pyromancer. Your team has destroyed a
I didn't know Pyro could kill Phoenix in this game.
Wait, oh, it did. That's crazy.
I wasn't sure either, but
RIP
you know.
Mycelo. I can see PN though.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Attack.
On my way.
As unpredictable as a super.
Tactical bait.
It's just
Let's
a
see it.
fake ult. Alright, let's go. I have White Flag and Shogun here, so.
Tall.
Yeah. How the fuck did I just miss that? Just, oh, fight it then. Fuck it.
Let's try and get out.
Trying.
Just poke it
Alright.
on the way back.
Yeah.
Enemy has been slain.
I have ult in 5. I got a real one here too.
My ult's back up in 20.
Just gonna sit in this bush. I hear one.
Thor coming.
Yeah.
I'm walled off.
What the fuck did he just do? I have him. I'm dead now. How? Why is that character open, man? Holy shit.
It's perfectly balanced. What do you mean, man? This
Yeah,
is old
you're
skill.
so right. Yeah, my fault.
Attack fire giant.
Yes, on my way.
On my way.
Let's actually finish this up.
Essence distilled.
Ice cream truck is out here, boys. I don't know if you hear it through.
Yo, I'm gonna cook with this build, right? Watch what I'm gonna build. Holy.
Wow, that one's crazy.
sure it'll pop off.
Do apologize if you're hearing anything going through, boys. The ice cream truck is ding-donging all over the place right outside. Dude, Nua's... Dude, that's a lot of damage, honestly. That shit can crit, man. That's an easy crit on every god on the enemy team. That is kind of wild.
Wash them away.
Let me heal you real quick.
Enemy Phoenix.
Farewell. Until your next reflection.
No ice cream trucks here. We actually, I don't know, it is, I'm actually surprised they're still around, I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like not really a whole lot of people buy stuff from there anymore. But it's running year round, every single week. The ice cream trucks are alive over here. It is nice, it is very nostalgic. But I never use it myself anymore. I haven't gone to an ice cream truck in fucking, I don't know. Actually, I think I did once, actually, not that many years ago. I don't know, maybe once, like 5 years ago, but that's literally it. And since then, it's like since my childhood, basically. I'm tempted sometimes, but I don't know. I feel like it's a lot of ice cream to buy from a truck. Like, I feel like if I mean, you could just buy one. I'm just a fat fuck, I guess. I feel like if I go to an ice cream truck, though, I would want to buy more than just one. Like, otherwise, what's the point? Why am I not just going to buy at least, like, a package or something? It feels like bait, you know? I'm not taking it, but it feels like bait. Because I know I'll buy more than I should when I go there. What a tall driver match. Yeah, I had the same one last game. I lost this game. So I get it. This game feels so weird of a 3-month break. Yeah, I can imagine. There's a lot of new shit. I was playing with restricted camera pitch on. Dude, the weird part about that for me is that I started playing Smite 2 with that on, and now I can't take it off. As in, like, I feel like I cannot play without it. It's so weird to me. I actually use it to my advantage now. Like, it's on. Where is it, though? It's just on. I feel like I can't play without it now. Missed Scylla 2 and minions because of it. That sucks, man. I assume you took it off after you realized it was on and you didn't want it on, right? You would do that. Otherwise, that would be a not very intelligent move to keep playing with it. Like, I never had it on in Smite 1. I don't know why I, for some reason, in Smite 2 is now completely, like, terrible without it. I can't play without it now. And it actually annoys me, because I can't look up. I can't look at the scenery, as we all do in Smite, right? That's why we play the game. No, but it actually is legitimately a problem when I'm against Thor, because I can't look up. So I purely have to go for sound and visuals for when he's about to land. Which isn't terrible, like I've kind of learned to just use that instead, but it's still awkward when I try to look up and I'm not allowed. Yes, hit everything. Smart. Also, I have plans at 4 today, boys, so I will have to end the stream a little earlier than usual, but that's also kind of why I started earlier, so and an hour and a half-ish, so hopefully it's 2 games, but there's a slight chance that it's maybe only 1 game. We'll see. I hope it's 2, though. No, play with a stricter camera. And I completely get that. I don't think I've done it in any game, like, ever. But for some reason in Smite 2, I got used to it without realizing it. And when I realized it was on and I then took it off, I was like, what the fuck? And then I just couldn't play the game. It's weird, but I guess what it is what it is, I suppose. It's not like I can do anything about it now. And it doesn't really bother me. Like, if I actually hated using it, I obviously wouldn't have gotten used to it in the first place. Now it's just a part of me. We're a team. Yeah, I was just surprised at how used I had gotten to it. Like, I had played Smite, like, again, I mean, I played Smite for years on years, you know? And then suddenly, like, without it, I mean. And then suddenly in Smite 2, that shit's on, and I'm like, this is me now. Like, it's like my brain just decided, yeah, you don't need that Smite 1 knowledge anymore. Fuck that. Like, ultimately, it doesn't really matter. Like, we'll see. Once there are gods that come out where I need to maybe look down a lot, or maybe even up, maybe I will have to end up swapping anyway. So I assume the restricted camera pitch only really means up and not down, because otherwise Cthulhu is going to be terrible to play with that on. Because I kind of need to look down when you ult. Though I guess it's the same for like Thana ults and Thor ults, so I guess I'm fine. I don't think I've had any problems with it so far. It feel weird on Wukong? Yeah. I'll figure that out pretty soon, if that actually ends up bothering me. Move my camera a lot so it's weird with it on. And I used to do that too. That's also why it doesn't bother me, but that's why it's weird to me that I got used to this so fast and without even realizing it. Because I guess I thought I moved my camera a lot, but I guess I'm not moving it as much as I thought. Not anymore, at least. Like, you guys see everything that I do anyway in the game. Like, I feel like it's not... It doesn't really restrict camera much. It's only really up. Restricts you watching down. I feel like I haven't had huge problems with it in Smite 2, I guess. I feel like I played a decent amount of Thor, and I don't really feel like it's ever really restricted me ulting down onto someone. Even if they're right below me? Oh shit. That was really not good. But maybe I just have gotten used to it to that point. I'm not really sure. At least I feel like it hasn't done any bad for me. Maybe they perfected the camera pitch. Now it's perfect. I know I just can't look up. I can test it when I get into a game though. Let me see how bad it is. Let's see, is this game cooked or am I requeuing? Requeuing, fuck. Oh. Nope. I heard someone's mic, so now I'm a little worried. Am I in-game or not? Let me just make sure here. Okay, I guess I'm in queue again. Can't look at the behinds. Yeah, it's the non-gooner setting. Oh, well, this is a great idea. Hopefully I don't miss the queue now that I had to restart. Yeah, I love Hercules' ass. Have you seen Bacchus's though? That's crazy. Herc Beach skin. Is it actually in Smite 2 yet? It was that part of the summer thing? I don't think it was. Missed opportunity. Don't think it is, yeah. He's got some other skins, I suppose. He's got the Luchador skin and the baseball skin. Though I guess they are more important. But even so. This definitely isn't helping my time window with these long queues that also don't feel like popping. I mean, usually the queue is kind of meh at this time, unless you actually find one, like a bigger queue. Then you can kind of just jump on that every single time. But, I mean, when I always stream at like 1, my time, which is almost 2 hours ago that I started, then, yeah, I mean, the queues are very, very varied. Sometimes they will insta-pop and it's like a low-level queue, and then sometimes it's gonna take 10 minutes to get like a good queue. It doesn't make any sense. Though, I mean, I guess the 10-minute queues are probably just because like they just finished their game. But still, it is very awkward. I don't think I mind the queue times all that much. It's just when I'm streaming, I kind of need to... I suppose I don't need to, but I prefer to not just sit in silence, so I feel like I need to speak. And so I just kind of have weird conversations with myself a lot of the time before people really pop up. I am trying to not speak too much, though. For no reason, at least. Because otherwise I just end up saying some weird shit. I just kind of say what's on my mind. Sometimes. Let's talk about your cats. I don't have cats. I have no cats to talk about. And then get one. I have a dog. I think he would love the cats, but I don't think the cats would love him. Still though, I think there is a limit to how much I can actually talk about my dog. I can get a dog cam, I guess. Then people can just look at that. I don't even need to say anything. It wouldn't work though, because he always moves. And he very often lays underneath my chair. And I don't know how I would really fit a cam. Actually, I could just put it in my ass. Yeah, problem solved. Feed cam. Yes. Give what the people want. Give them. Yeah, I don't know about that. Dude, can this Q just fucking pop? I'm gonna do this, because then you guys can see the Qs as well. The new UI doesn't support my UI on stream. Okay. Q pop. Don't dodge, please. I've been alone with my thoughts long enough. I am gonna try and trade here. I think. Actually, I mean, if I wanted to play Neath, I suppose I could just do it in ADC or in mid. A gif of the mana pentakill in a corner and repeat. I mean, that is definitely an idea. Yeah. I feel like I'm gonna get distracted by myself. I mean, I guess I'm not playing solo either way. What's with the dancer bands? Actually, maybe Jesus.
Select your god.
Nah. I gotta actually take off this Neath aspect, because I always have it on right now. Alright, LMCU. Danza is dumb, but it's just surprising to see him banned. Like, there's a lot of broken stuff, I think, that is way worse to deal with than Danza. Like, Danza has a lot of damage, but he's so easy to kill. That's the main problem with him. But I mean, I won't deny how good he kind of is at the moment. He's quite strong.
I am
The pain Odin is never on my side, so it's interesting to see him on my side for once. I wonder if he realizes his mic is open though. Probably gonna need beats, I guess. Nah, I'm doing ages. I want to go Int, but do I start with Bluestone maybe? Just have a better early game? I think I want to try.
Oh, hello there.
Anomaly detected. Corrective measures required.
Minions have spawned. Curses.
Do I start with...
Okay.
my 2? Dodge Morrigan? You.
Be careful, middle.
Could probably have fought that, to be honest.
The party don't stop. This is my jam. Enemy
careful,
missing
right.
middle. Enemy spotted.
They just rained on your parade.
I don't actually know what you want to level first these days. So you should still just level my 1, but...
Enemy has been slain.
Okay. I was a little worried he was going to hit 5 here, but thank God.
The rain shall wash them away. Ooh, an ally has been slain. Oh, you move like a jaguar. Ooh.
This is my jam.
Enemy
Bad ages. Didn't expect the insta-land. So, whatever. So many red buffs.
Take this jungle buff.
No worries. Enemies incoming right.
The rain shall wash them away. Your left tower is under attack.
Up. Let's get this rave started.
Was hoping he got a vision on Cupid.
That's a bummer.
That's unfortunate, man. It's really
Your
looking for the
middle
fucking Cupid.
tower is under attack. Hasta la vista, amigo. Enemy has been slain. Double kill. Oh, you move like a jaguar. Ooh.
I gotta just fucking back.
Triple kill.
Follow
Ooh.
me.
Success. You're too cool.
Keep up. Be right back. For sure. Seriously?
Retreat left lane. Enemies incoming left. Retreat completed.
Your left tower
I'm
is under attack.
way. You're hot. Enemy missing left. Cover. The
Oh, it's not aspect more, actually. That's good. That's very good for me to know. Because I keep fucking keeping an eye on that fucking decoy this whole time.
Attack the Gold Fury. On my way.
Enemy missing left.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury. Your
Enemy
left
missing
tower
middle.
is under attack.
I'm gonna make it quick. The party don't stop.
Make it like a baby. Enemy ultimate down.
An ally has left the game.
Ew.
Okay.
Grody.
Unfortunate timing. This fucking item! You kidding me? Iris! Surely we are dealing with this soon. I actually expected them to hotfix this and just like nerf it by like 5 strength or whatever. Dude, this item is fucking everywhere. It's actually insane. Oh man, I really hope he comes back. This is a fun game. Well, easy to say when you're on the winning side, but just in terms of players, it's a good queue. Okay.
Enemies have returned. An unintended discrepancy. Thanks.
Next up, probably gotta go for a Chronos Pendant. Otherwise my cooldowns are gonna be a million years long.
Enemy missing middle.
Yes.
I'ma make it quick. Seriously? Not even. The party don't stop.
The Pyromancer has arrived.
This is my jam.
Enemy missing left.
I'ma make it quick.
Uh-oh, CDC again.
Get this rave started. The party don't stop.
Be careful right. Enemies in right lane.
wildly tragic how low they are.
Your left tower is under attack.
Enemy missing left.
Go Bluestone!
Enemy has been slain.
Would have loved that kill.
Completed. Read. Okay.
Get mid tower, boys. Dude, such a disgusting
Wash them away.
like chase that they probably won't even get punished for. That's kind of insane.
Your left tower is under attack.
Just gonna make sure that they get out. Don't really care if they get anything from my ult.
My jam. Keep up.
Ultimate is down. Be careful. Your left tower is under attack.
Enemy missing middle.
Your right tower is under attack.
Enemy missing left.
Enemy has been slain.
Middle. Enemies in the right.
The rain shall wash them
Party
away.
don't stop.
I'll build fast.
Get this race started.
Enemy missing left.
Enemy has been slain.
No assist for me because Morgan transformed. That's really cool. I love that.
I'ma make it
Alright. Let's get the Chronos Pendant online.
This weekend is going to be
and then what?
amazing.
We'll get Spear.
You can never go wrong with more LEDs.
There is such a thing as too much LED light. That shit is rough on your eyes. Well, my eyes, I guess.
Enemy missing
I'm
middle.
sensitive to light.
Turn it up. This is my jam. The party don't stop. Keep up your cute.
Your left tower is under attack. Like a jaguar. The rain shall wash them away. Your left tower is under attack. under attack. Your left tower is under attack. Your left tower has been
It's a level 17 Jock. My dude is farming. Suppose there isn't really any reason for him to rotate at the moment.
destroyed a right enemy tower.
Still though, the one time he did rotate, I died. Someone joined my red. I don't think it was Chuck, actually. It's probably the Morrigan.
Let's get this rave started.
Enemy has been slain. Enemy ultimate incoming.
Dance with me.
Judo thunderstruck. Unfortunate.
I'ma make it quick.
Enemy ultimate down. Your team has destroyed a left.
My jam up. Seriously?
Fabuloso.
Kind of a gamble sticking around. I wasn't sure if Chuck was building full damage.
Need a quick breather. Too much jumping.
I'll get Rod next. Shit's so expensive. I still don't like the new build path stuff.
Ultimate is ready. Turn it up.
Ultimate is down.
My 10 assists.
Ultimate is down. Attack the fire giant. Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower. I'm the greatest. Your team has destroyed a right enemy tower.
The party don't stop. Keep up. I'ma make
Enemy has been slain. Wash them away.
the party don't stop.
Destroy the little enemy phoenix.
I'ma make it quick.
That's the fire giant. I'm returning to base. I will ward.
Keep up.
Enemy has been slain.
Your team has destroyed the pyramids.
Rod. It could be a cool mechanic if Neathol did more damage and longer traveled, but at the same time, it does enough damage, so...
You move like a jaguar.
The party don't stop. Keep up.
Like a jaguar. Attack the fire. On my way.
Your right tower is under attack. An enemy has left the game.
I'm a man.
Destroyed the fire.
Tracks.
Okay. Sorry. On my way.
Get this raid started.
Rain shall wash them away. Completed.
Phoenix.
I'm assuming it was just an actual DC.
Not even. See ya.
45 minutes? I don't know if I can risk it. Yeah. I don't know if I can risk it. I might just have to end it early here, boys. Because I have to leave in 5 minutes. So I will just not take that chance and stop while the games are going well, you know? So yeah. I'll just thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I apologize for the early stream. Not early, the